this.
Yeah.
But then if
I have
you
plans. Yeah.
want to, hammer something home.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Oh, do outtakes.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the Braincast. My name is Michael Rattay. I'm here with Julie
Breckenfelder.
We met at an event, and so this is to really bring light to local Chicago businesses and people that I think I mesh well with, to have a good conversation to discuss their business and then my business, of course. So thank you for agreeing to meet me here in Portage Park. We're at 2112, where I typically operate out of. So, you had a good lunch.
I did.
So let's go into your main.
Okay.
I mean, we met at an event, so.
Yeah, very cool.
From there, you're a coach.
Yes.
Right?
Well, one thing, back up really quick, you said we don't want to talk about, we met at an event, but we meet a ton of people, and I think it's pretty darn cool when you just know that you actually want to connect with somebody.
Right.
So I'm really excited about today and all that you've done here and inviting me to be a part of this. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. And you know what, as I did spit through that we don't care about the meeting, that's the whole point of this. Because that's why so many of these are happening for me is instead of our initial coffee conversation that you have with somebody, I tried to turn it into one of these where we can really share the stories with more than just ourselves, but our audiences.
Yeah.
So
a greater community. I love that, and it's an awesome idea. So
good.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
So let's do it.
So Detroit.
Yes.
Born and raised.
Born and raised in Detroit. My dad worked for Ford for 35 years. So as we were talking about earlier, I actually didn't know there was any other brand of car until I went to college and left my small town of Dearborn, which was very eye-opening.
Right.
So now I have much broader range and idea of the car industry.
What do you think?
I'm in Chicago. School was actually in Michigan. So a small business school in Michigan. And then I'm also a Loyola grad from the grad school there. Go Quinlan. And of course the Ramblers this year, how we can all give them a high five. And then I have a coaching certification from IPEC.
That's right. So I was trying to learn up on the acronyms on the website. So
basically my trajectory has been learning. So where can I keep learning?
Right.
And then I ended up at a consulting firm within the healthcare space.
Okay.
And over the last couple of years, how fascinating has that been? So, and then all of a sudden I was like, hey, I've been at all these different places, made so many amazing relationships, always seemed to take on a mentor, coaching type role. And I was like, I think there's a natural transition.
Interesting.
Start looking at this coaching thing. And here I am.
That's really how you get anywhere, is the mentors and the coaches and the... So do you... I remember when at the table you were kind of comparing yourself to the therapist, why it's different than the therapist than an actual coach to push forward.
Yes.
Like, are you niching to like women, men, industries, or are you just kind of going after personality fits?
Awesome question. So it has organically happened just to be personality fit. It's usually fallen into mid-career or transition to a different career, men and women. It's such a joy to work with both and the different dynamics, and it keeps it different for me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been like we were talking about early, how you just naturally attract different people and different vibes. And so I don't actually have a specific niche right now because I want to stay very open. I don't want to pause anything. I just want to be coaching. Right?
Until you stop.
Yes.
Or someone, you find a niche that's like, no.
Yes. Yeah. Yes and no.
Exactly. And you mentioned it, I think that must have been our subconscious connection is me being an artist, but also the 10 years in the financial industry. Because it's been interesting to meet other numbers people that are also outgoing. I met a couple, like an accountant. I met a couple accountants that are like, I know we're never outgoing, but you connect with those people.
Yeah.
Well, they were telling me, they're like,
yes.
us accountants are never outgoing.
I should talk to them.
Right. See, there's a little, you could do the accountant process, like the out from books to outsider.
Yeah. Or, all-knowing.
I'm trying to think, what would be?
Yeah.
Because so I guess, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, I love that you're bringing up accounting, because I actually just recently did a presentation for a group of attorneys on mindfulness. And it's these groups, and then I have another one coming up with a group of combined attorneys and financial advisors. And it's like these groups that are like, you wouldn't normally think would be intrigued by this type of work, are getting more and more intrigued and more open. And to see a handful of people just sit back in their chair and go, that's interesting. Like, that's so amazing to be able to have the opportunity to kind of provide that impact to people or help them maybe think about something a little bit differently.
Right. Yeah, so many of those careers that are just like ingrained and like just one path, they probably need the outside lanes the most.
Yes. And it's fun putting playful pictures up, and they're like, normally like, Julie, it's black and white. What are we doing here? And I'm like, I'm here to make you uncomfortable.
Right.
I'm here to make you stop being a robot. Seriously, it's so much more fun not being a robot.
Yeah. That's funny. So is it older group? Like because that's what I'm wondering. Is it like a younger group that's now looking to branch out, or is it older people too that are like also?
It isn't a specific group by age. I think people in this world right now are looking for change and looking, no matter what their age is, to like approach life, work, relationship, anything with a different lens. And I almost feel like people aren't shutting off uncomfortable things anymore. They're kind of like, okay, let's have a conversation about it. Let's understand that. Like, okay, thank you, Julie. Now I know that mindfulness isn't a monk sitting on, not only a monk sitting on a mountain meditating. Like, it's me sitting on the train, not staring at my phone, but looking up and noticing something new in front of me. And it's almost like this sense of relief. So I feel like people are, there is this paradigm shift, right? Of like, what is success? What does that look like? If you're not enjoying life, if you're not enjoying your job, like, we only have so much time here, right? So like, what is that success? And does it have to do with money, power, all of that jazz? I don't think so.
Great. Okay, so mindfulness. So people actually acknowledging the journey is, right?
It's
Happiness
more approachable.
Is the journey instead of the destination thing. So people are looking for other answers. They're looking for,
Yes, trying to get probably hear this a lot, like just unstuck. Like people feel like they've taken the initiative to make changes in their life, and then the exact same thing happens over and over again. It's like this pattern. It's like, hold up, what is going on? Why is this happening? And the biggest barrier, I think, right now is society tells us that we have to figure everything out on our own.
Right.
Like, unless you fall into a deep, deep state of anxiety or depression or anything of that sort, like, you're supposed to figure it all out on your own. And that's where that's not true.
Right.
Yeah, there's people out there to support you. And I think the coolest thing about my job is, like we started off talking about, I'm absolutely not a therapist, and I have such a respect for that industry. What I do is, if someone has gone through therapy and they're in this very functional state, I help them to get to that optimal state. I help them move forward. I help them define what success is, and just get it and embrace it. But then the really cool thing about my job is I get to ask people all the questions that nobody else can, because it's coming from a very non-judgmental place, very objective. People want to know what their blind spots are, and you can't know that if you can't be asked difficult questions.
Right.
So if it's a family member or a friend asking those questions, sometimes you get defensive, and it's like, whoa, where are you going with that? But if I ask the question, it's like, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a pretty cool job.
That's a, because it's got to be very emotionally weighted. I mean, just insane, like you just said. I mean, if it's a fight with family, but then you can kind of be chill about it and get that answer that family is kind of trying to get.
Yeah. And you know what? Family and friends ask these questions because they care so much, but they also are trying to find a solution for you.
Right.
where in my role, I'm not trying to find a solution for anybody. I'm trying to help you find that solution, because when you figure it out, it's so much more true to you and who you are, and you can be accountable for it. Oops, I'm totally hitting the mic. Bing, 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 bing.
It's okay.
No. But and when people like own the next step in the process they want to take, it's just so much more meaningful to them and so much more successful. Versus if I tell you, okay, I think you should do blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, Julie, it didn't work. Thanks a lot. Right. So it's fun, like navigating that and asking those questions and finding those blind spots. I've just had people go, oh my God. I thought I had that fixed, and I totally didn't. And now I'm really going to be serious about fixing it.
So let's go back to, because I'll try and, this is how we'll get back to it, is through marketing and agencies. And this wasn't a question I'd had originally, and then we went somewhere else.
Yeah.
So was there anything, what was the best thing you kind of learned through all that experience, through marketing?
Through marketing and my time in the agency world and marketing world, oh my gosh, I almost swore. People are so freaking smart and amazing and creative, and come to work sometimes with a mask on of not who they really are. And when they take that mask off, you're like, oh my gosh, like this is so fascinating. I had that happen so many times where I thought I knew someone at work and like in that world, because it's a very creative world, right? And there's like a whole nother element to them. And I mean, just the people that I met through the whole process and the amazing relationships. And I think that can happen outside of just the marketing agency world, right? Like anywhere you go, just getting to know people outside their work self. So why not bring the whole self to work?
Yeah. So that's true. So that's probably one of those places more where, since people were able to be creative too, they're able to be more of a person, more of the whole person instead of a hidden half.
Yes.
They could be more, as a full self.
In that realm, I mean, there's definitely judgmental angles, right? When you walk through the door of an agency, like you're supposed to be creative. And that's the fun of the work I do now, is asking people like, what do you think you're supposed to be? Like, I hate the supposed to be thing. Okay, let's pick that up and put that over here. Now tell me who you really are. And what do you really care? And what like gets you stirred up? What makes you, it's worth being embarrassed for? Like what just like drives you and like you just totally get excited about it. And if that's laying in the grass staring at the clouds, awesome. So how do we create that? How do we bring that sensation more and like throughout the different elements in your life and your work, and just rev you up, like live life. It's fun.
See, you got me. I'm going to have to start writing them down, because I had one point and then you got me onto another point.
And because I'm like,
well, which is how I typically am normal, but now that I got to focus to like put a question to the one and then something else. Oh yeah, I like that too. Because I was thinking with, that's what I was doing with some of the film, with some of these time lapses, is to give people that same feeling of just watching the clouds, just like, because you always want to do it. And I always thought it'd be fun, like, while people flip through their Instagram or LinkedIn to see a random video, sunrises and random cloud stuff.
And bring that to them.
So that's what I think is fun, at least about film.
Yep.
And me doing that same thing, where I know of trying to pursue that because it was interesting to me. So that it was like, let's capture it and then let's try and share it in the way that I know how. Pictures, illustrations or photos would work, but video is just what I choose. And
imagine the people that are engaged by that, how you take them out of the intensity, right? And for however long those videos are, it's like a breath of, it's like a centering almost. It's like a calming thing. And it's like, okay, now I can go redirect and do whatever I need to be doing now. But that's right there, a mindful meditation, I would say, just getting to look at something so beautiful that you don't truly make time to do.
Right. Yes, that's the point. And I remembered.
Yay, I knew it would come back. Woo!
Shoot, now I lost it.
Oh,
It was
no!
the struggle. No, it was the actualized person. Because the two who they're supposed to. That was
Yes.
it. Getting the supposed to be out of the way. So,
Yeah.
is there, tips? Maybe like for general people, what do you think, I mean, like if someone were to find that self,
Yes.
like, I mean, obviously having someone else is great to help you pull it out because it's almost like you do whatever that thing is and then you get like a negative reaction and then they stop. So that's where you need like extra help to kind of keep pushing forward. But how, any like mental suggestions for people to trick themselves into loving that more?
Yes,
or
absolutely.
trying it more? Or...
These are my 3 most favorite things to do. First one is stop shoulding on yourself. So the second you're like, I should do this, or I should do that, should you? Should
Right.
you really? So how true is that being to you? So stop shoulding on yourself. And it's just really fun to say stop
Yeah.
shoulding on yourself.
Keep thinking you're going to slip.
Yeah, you're like, no.
Next one.
Yeah, next one is,
Next one you're going to slip. No,
yeah.
Next thing. Yeah.
yeah, totally. I should, no. I need to. You need to what? Do you really need to do that? Swap it with I want to. And just see how that feels. So the other thing that
Right.
we're taught in society is not to feel, and you're not supposed to be emotional, you're not supposed to cry, all that stuff. That's a bunch of you
Right.
know what. So
Shoulds.
how does it feel to should on yourself and to say I have to do something? Or how does it feel to say I want to do something? So use it in the same sentence. And if you actually don't really want to do it, then why are you doing it?
Right.
It totally gets to the core of if you have to do it or you need to do it, there's going to be resentment. And that's just not living a good life or doing what's true to you. But the second you want to do it,
Right.
and even something you might say, like, I think it's just part of how people speak now is I have to, I want to. It's like this wah, wah, wah. But once you change it to like the wants, you just say it differently. You feel differently.
Right.
And you sit up differently. And then the last thing, this is so funny, coming from the individual who I would sit at my desk and I'd be so intense, I would forget to breathe. So the third thing is if you're in like any kind of intensity or not intensity at all, you just want to take a break, take a freaking breath.
Right.
Yeah, like breathe in for 3 seconds, hold it for 2, let it out for 4, and it will completely change the moment. And okay, so I lied. I said there were 3 things. There's actually 4.
That's all right.
The fourth one is I encourage everyone to try to notice something new every day. So that's helping you take those blinders off.
Yep.
And just like look around. Something that you think you know, like I know this to the T. I challenge you to actually look at that situation, look at that environment, drive a different way, pick your head up on the train,
Right.
walk and actually feel the cement as you walk. Try to know something new every day, and that's going to start changing your environment big time.
That's great.
And it's easy.
Yeah. Those are all wonderful. Those are like such good. And I think as you're saying those, I feel like it sums you up too. I'm assuming these are like, but they're conscious choices.
Totally.
That you have to just make, otherwise you just let life make. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some quote that's similar that I can't think
Make
of.
it,
where
create it, do it. You
Yeah,
can make the quote.
If you don't, yeah, okay, I'll just make it up. Where like life will just happen to you if you don't make the decisions.
Yeah.
So you just need to be conscious about making your decisions
Exactly.
and actually getting in your head with the wants. That
Yeah.
makes the most sense.
And the fact that you have complete control. You have complete control. The second, so I challenge everyone, if you feel like you don't have control over something or someone has control over you or you can't make the choice or you have no choice, I challenge that because you have complete control over everything that you do, you think, you say, and you have no control over other people.
So mindfulness, so breaking yourself out of the patterns. So calling in sick somewhere is probably like doing the hooky thing, right? That's probably a good, maybe this is a bad example, but that's a good way for you to like see what you have control over and what has control over you. Like cancel certain plans if it's
be
strangling
true to
you.
yourself. I think one of the keys too is that if you feel obligated or you're starting to feel resentment, that's something to like throw a flag up and be like, okay, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel obligated? Like, this takes us all back, and one of my favorite things to do with people is figure out what your values are, because that's your strategy for life. And if things aren't like hitting on your values, then it's okay to say no. It's okay to create boundaries, because you deserve to be doing what you want to be doing. It's, again, we have like a fun opportunity, a fun life to live. And if we don't honor what's meaningful to us, how much freaking fun are we with other people then? Like, if you're like, oh, I gotta go do this thing and I don't really want to do it, like, nobody wants to hang around you. Like energy attracts like energy, totally. And so if you're coming into something like this, so is everybody else. But if you're coming into it like excited and with your heart, no matter what that thing is, like, you're gonna inspire other people. It's gonna be that much better of an experience.
This is going to be my most used quote, but it was one of the things that inspired me with my transition was the do what makes you come alive.
Yes.
Because the world needs more of that.
Yes,
and that
it does.
That helped push me. For some reason, that just like really clicked, and I was like, that's so true. It is. Suppressing versus true enjoyment.
Oh gosh, please don't suppress. Do what makes you come alive, because it's contagious. And talking about being contagious too, another thing to think about is if you are constantly getting sick, like there's some people that are like, oh my God, I'm always sick, or having relapses. Like, that's not your body working against you. That's your body telling you like, hey, go be alive. This isn't for you. Our bodies only know how to tell us to stop doing something by putting us in pain. Right. Oh, I hit the microphone again. But yeah, so if you feel pain, it's your body actually taking care of you and trying to redirect you to get after what makes you come alive to inspire more people. Life like that is just so much more fun. Why do we think we have to like live in this box of like, you should do this, you should do that, you're supposed to be like this, and here's the whole line of things that you need to do to be successful. And we're all like, that doesn't feel successful.
No.
Because we didn't create it. So, go you!
Go team. I think there's been a lot of random podcasts that I'm hearing where they're suggesting that that's familial issues, just kind of that suppress so many people.
Yes.
Which I know. I mean, I could feel it, and I know. It's interesting to do things publicly and then see which friends and family react certain ways, because then you can really get like the most true about it. But like if you do something publicly and then they can react to it, and then you can hear the reaction, then you can sort of feel like if they're like kind of putting you down for something, then you'd be like, oh, wait a minute, you are part of the problem. Instead of the energy if they're trying to bring you down because they're
totally. Or if they might not be bringing you down, they might just be scared for you because you're doing something very uncomfortable that they could never see themselves doing, and they want to protect you. So a lot of that like comes from protection and fear. So there's fear and love, right? Like fear wants to protect you from doing really scary things. Love wants you to just run after it and do whatever makes you light up. So there's no like good or bad there. One is protecting, but being able to know, whether it's a family member or a message that we give ourselves, that it's just a message and it's not actually, it isn't you.
Right.
It isn't reality. You make of it what you want of it.
Are you an artist in the sense of like painter or photo or any of that, musician?
Like actually?
Like, is there anything you practice like on a weekly basis, like drawing or painting or anything?
I love to practice all that stuff, but I could not call myself an actual like artist or painter. Or I did with a separate business that I'm doing. My partner, I did do a finger painting that was pretty freaking amazing. That was awesome, but I would not call myself a painter. What do I do kind of on the side of things?
Yeah, like creatively. Writer.
So this, too. I do love to write, and that's something that
That could be.
I'm not going to should on myself because I want to do it. That's something in the future that I want to start sharing.
You're kind of looking at. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. But the creative kind of unique side of me, and I actually didn't know this until some of my friends decided to answer this question for me once, is that I love to be outside and I love to be in the water. So I'm a boater in the summer, and in the winter I am a skier. I love skiing.
Really?
And the link there is I love to go fast. And the sensation of speed, to go fast. So the sensation of speed, adrenaline. And I'm trying to like link this back to creativity, but I feel like that's where I'm just like, I'm not like in my head, I'm just free and having fun and like just letting stuff go and feeling the air and seeing the sky and the spray of the water and the, oh my gosh, we probably should slow down, we're going a little too fast. And then all of a sudden I'm like rolling around losing my skis everywhere, but that's great too. But I think the creator inside of me comes from that, I don't know, I guess adrenaline rush. Yeah.
Well, it's a good feel alive thing.
Yes.
Of course. I mean, you definitely, and it's one of the, once you, it's like you successfully do it once, you know, like, oh, well, I could go a little faster. It's like the danger.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious. That's me to a T.
Is it?
And then I'm like, oh, you might break something. But that's okay. I haven't broken anything yet. Let's do this. And like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, if you don't do it, right?
Well, please.
Okay,
I don't want to be
I'll
responsible.
knock on my head. But if you don't do something, there's that sense of regret.
Yes.
And it's like, that almost feels like, ugh, gross versus actually getting after the thing and, you know, whatever. This relates back to a documentary that I just watched the other night. Oh, it was phenomenal. It was about the F1 racer in the, I believe it was the 80s into the early 90s. His last name was Senna. And it's an amazing documentary on his life as he got into the F1 racing, and that's how he died. And but he went in there and he raced and he put it all out there, and the politics of the sport worked against him, and he still was very true to himself and did what he needed to do. And it's such a well done documentary, and like it hits you right here. It's like, am I doing what's true to me? And am I letting outside influences direct me? Or am I doing what's true to me? And he had a lot of reasons to have the outside influences like make him redirect, and he didn't. So highly recommend if you need a little like...
Yeah, boost me up.
A little boost and some speed.
Yeah, some real speed.
F1 racing.
Do you have a blog? Do you have a blog?
I don't. But I want to get to blog.
You should blog. And I was thinking movies would be, you could do a weekly, or I don't know however frequently you do it, but that would be a good supplemental like content for you, I think, because because you're obviously going to share like that and not like Requiem for a Dream. Have you seen that?
No.
Don't.
Okay.
It's so good. Like, it's so good, but it is the saddest movie. Yeah. It's just all about addiction. The entire movie, like everyone just goes down the addiction line. Mm-hmm. It's Aronofsky, the guy that did I can't think of his. That was the movie I'd always say. Oh, the guy that did Requiem for a Dream. He did The Fountain and The Black Swan, and so, but like that was early when he was very arty before he got into like love stories. So this was like his most negative, just bad sound. No one, it's been out 20 years, but no one ends good. Like you just feel, you walk away, you're like, damn it, that sucked.
So what's good about this?
Well, it's an interesting, I mean, it's well shot and edited. Yeah. And like, it's a good film.
Has a good perspective? Like, what do you walk away from when you see this movie?
Yeah, that's a good point. Besides just being sad.
Because you don't always have to walk away from a movie being super happy. It can inspire you in so many different ways. That's true. Well,
it was inspiring to not want to get addicted to anything. Because one lady was diets, so then she was on diet pills. The other was heroin. And I think three of them were just general drugs. And so it was just like, you know, the older lady by herself. It's just, the mirror to addiction kind of thing. So just to make cognizant choices to be like, okay, good to be with people. Don't let anyone bring you down. I guess that's because it was the group of them that would get addicted together with, so I don't know. So,
Yep.
So I guess maybe you could even recommend that. But so that was my point. So
if there's anything that's going to influence you to be more true to you, like, again, it doesn't have to have like a happy ending always. And sometimes I feel like having that, like, I don't know, those rose-colored glasses, everything's going to work out, that's not real. And we learn the most from the things we, like, goof up the most.
The failures,
Yeah, it's just another step, like, okay, redirect, whatever. Just don't get down in the dumps over it.
Which is the hardest part, which is why support and external support is so key.
Yep, and it's okay to ask for help.
The music, that was the other thing about that movie.
The music.
If you were to, it's like the most dramatic. They ended up, it was right around the Lord of the Rings, but this one song, you've probably heard it in like a bunch of commercials. It was just so crazy dramatic, but so it was a very emotional. It was just like emotionally draining, and that's.
I'm so movie. Watching this later.
And I'm sorry, and I hope you're okay. I hope it doesn't ruin your week.
It won't.
Let me know once you turn around.
I'm all embracing.
Did you ever read that book, Getting Things Done?
I've heard of it. I have not read it.
You seem pretty organized, but like in general, that one really got me on this whole thing of getting stuff out. Because like it was just kind of the spit. I don't know what it was. Spit list is what I was going to call it, but just like whatever's at the top of your head, you just kind of get it out into like a notepad or a notebook whenever it happens so that you can address it. Like his whole thing was like systematic. So it's like you would just do that randomly, but then Friday morning at 10 a.m. or 1 a.m. when you're ready to leave, for the weekend kind of thing from a normal job. You would review that list, and kind of go over notes. So like it's all systematic with that. But Getting Things Done, I would highly recommend that book because it helped me with just getting my stuff out and trying to be organized. And so that's where Evernote became my type it into there.
Yeah. I think the key with what you're saying too is like just getting everything out is not judging whatever you want to get out. And I think people like, well, I can't put that on paper because I should be thinking, or I need to be, or I have to be, instead of, it's like, no judgment, just let it out. It's kind of like, what is that, the bad first draft?
Yeah.
I didn't swear, but there's a swear word in that. Just like get it out, write it down. No judgment of what's on the paper, and then see what you actually want to achieve of that, and see how you do at the end of the week. But I know way back when I was a perfectionist with my task list, and I had to be like in order, and then I'd have something in the back of my head, and I wouldn't put it down because it just didn't make sense on my to-do list. Like seriously, Julie.
I wanted 10, not 11. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I believe it.
That would be me. It doesn't line up, and that's way too
long.
Words,
yeah. I can't skip lines.
Yep. Any other good books or documentaries you have to recommend?
Jeez. Yes, I'm sure they will pop up. The one I keep recommending is The Startup of You, because that had my all-time favorite quote recently, which was serendipity only happens in motion. It's by the founder of LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman. He wrote that book. But because that helped me, because with all these events because like we were saying, you can go to oh my gosh, 3 every day.
Yes. If
you really want it, like what's going to be the end game. But there was always like one good thing that came out of like everything that I went to versus, just staying at home or doing, working on stuff. So it's like, that helped like just put it in line that like, okay, just keep going to random things because that's where you find random stuff.
Yep.
Random connections.
You figure it out, and it's actually kind of fun.
It is, right?
Just meeting all these people and like, you just want to promote everything people are doing. Like you're excited for them because we're all in kind of the same seat, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we might be doing different stuff, but like we have this thing that we're really excited and passionate about, and we want to share with people, and we want to create relationships and connections, and we want to figure stuff out for people and help them promote their business and this and that and everything. And so it's exciting, it's fun, it's also really tiring.
Yeah.
I come home after these things, I'm like, am I 5? I need a nap.
Yeah. It's a definite. I do try and plan.
Yes.
It's tough to go to a big day and then like have to do any excruciating work. It's just kind of like the chill out stuff or the mind, you know.
Yeah. For me, it's either taking a nap or making sourdough bread. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sourdough bread. And so we did that, and then after we did that, we just kind of got lost. You know, we just wander the streets.
Best.
Right.
Yes.
So I had a bunch of random footage
Oh
of
my
just
gosh. That's the best way to see a country or
any city, like anything. Just
totally. And I feel like, why can't we always be doing that even where we live? I had someone challenge me with that because I was like, oh, I haven't been traveling as much as I'd like, because I love to explore. I'm an explorer. An explorer at heart. And I had someone challenge me and say, Julie, like, you live in Chicago. Like, why can't you just explore your city? And that was a huge change for me. That happened 2 years ago. And that's why just coming here today, I'm like, I've never been there. I'm so excited. Let's go. Like, yeah, let's go there. Let's go. I love meeting people in new places all around the city. And like that excitement of vacation and like, do you ever feel like you're like, oh, this is what living is, like exploring all this new stuff and learning these new cultures and getting lost down a back road in Rome where you're safe.
Right.
And that road you're safe. Maybe not the other one.
Yeah.
But it's just like so much fun. Like, why can't we just do that every day? And we can.
We can. That was the inspiration for that camera because I wanted one. So thank you, camera.
Yes.
Because I wanted it, because obviously that one's a lot bigger, and that one I wanted to literally put in my pants pocket. Just so like.
Just to be like.
Yeah, but literally, so I just started doing like vlogging, you know, and going to all these events.
Yes.
You always end up at these random places that you normally wouldn't go. So like if I just get 2 minutes of footage, and then I have all this daily stuff that I compile. It's obviously a lot more time that I anticipated, but I have it. You know, like it's one of those things that it's like I don't do it daily. I'm still trying to figure out that rhythm, but it's like it's fun to have because I've been doing it. It's literally like, okay, let me just explore the city and like see how many different angles I can show of all of it. So it's been really fun to like test myself.
Yeah. And I think that's really cool that you're doing it with something that sometimes we stop ourselves from doing something we want to be doing because we don't think we have the right equipment, or like so many people I know are like, well, I would exercise more, I just don't have exercise clothes. It's like, you don't need exercise clothes.
That's
like,
the worst.
Like, just go for a walk, like you're fine. So, but that's cool, like to have this camera to be able to, like, you're still, I'm sure the beauty that you have found, and you're gonna like link all together, and it's not like your couple $1,000 equipment. So,
yeah, and it started, that one, you'll be surprised. I hope you'll be surprised in the final cut that they blend pretty nicely. Like it works, but it also tested it. I bought a $40. Find it somewhere, but it's like this big. Just
camera?
Like, yeah. So I was like, let me test. I wanted to test it with that. You know, it's like a cheap GoPro, and I was like, let me just see how interesting. Because that's my problem. Like where we're very similar. I think we just dive into a lot of things when we get excited about stuff.
What do you mean?
We're just like, okay, let's go.
Did we talk about that already?
Head first. I could tell.
Totally.
And so that's why I was like, well, I don't want to, you know, because spend $1,000 on a camera that I may stop.
Yeah.
I mean, I could always use it for extra stuff, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
So, I tested it out at least, and that was huge with me too. Like, that I just want to say to people in general, if you're curious and testing stuff out, like, you don't need to go all in.
No.
Just
do it.
Do it light, and you kind of figure it out from there, if it makes sense.
And really, like, the more authentic, people love that.
Right.
Yeah, I know. People hovering back there.
I was like,
they just want to be a part of this, really.
I don't blame them.
But yeah, like, the more things feel raw, like, it almost engages people more because they don't think it's been
too processed.
Yes.
It's more real and more honest instead of.
And more like it's more relatable.
That's interesting.
And that's always kind of difficult we think it always has to be so perfect.
Right.
To be shared or cared about, when in actuality, some of the work that's done with not all the fancy tools is the coolest.
Well, and and I'm sorry, I'm just checking our time just to make sure.
Oh, no, that's totally fine.
That was half of it, because I really wanted to be like, if I could not walk around with that, what's the lowest thing that I could still make something decent with?
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself, as a drummer, so I'm a drummer, and I'm like this all around like weird artist guy.
I love it. I love it. I love learning new things about people.
Good. So, because that was part of, with drumming you practice, and like, I'm an illustrator, so I would also sketch.
All the things I wish I could do. Okay.
You just do them.
Yeah.
I gotta, I hate to, I'll turn your table.
Yeah, coach me.
That's what it is. And it's, when I wasn't doing that with movies, and that's another thing where, because all the good ideas come from, at least for me, they come in the not serious, just screwing around time.
Yep.
That's where the new leaps are formed. So that was the other inspiration. I was like, I'm not even doing I'm not sketching with video. So that's why I got into practicing as the daily practice in that way.
That's awesome. I love that.
Get one of these to go something really small as far as an actual sketchbook is concerned. Like this, it turned into like notes.
Oh, that's cool.
And then, because this is where when I'm when I don't have an idea, but I just want colors. So I just like bright things. So I would just
I love this.
Mess around with stuff like that.
You're creating an idea in my head and how I want to not only do this for myself, but that could be something I give all my clients.
Yes.
This is so cool.
Yeah, the JB book, and then that's JBB.
That's
so this is, because these are, it's like $4, whatever.
Yeah.
They're probably more than this because it's a moleskin. But
yeah,
this helped me
reminds me of this.
Get back involved. Perfect.
Yeah, but I like your little version.
Because for me, when I started, so with my background as an animator, it was like traditional, and then I went to computer. But then,
so cool.
in being a financial guy, I just ignored a lot of my creativity for a while. So then to get back the small nod, because there's something about like an 8x10 piece of paper that you're like, God, I gotta fill this.
Yeah, there's pressure there.
Tiny, it's like,
and you can take a pause quickly, and it's like the pressure, the size, and you don't have to fill the page. That's, again, it's recentering, it's taking that breath, it's taking that pause. So what is your breath? This is your pause and your breath and your recentering. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I love this.
And I filled up, I probably did 3 of these, and then next time, then it was okay, let me get the next bigger one. And the bigger, so that was my way. So I would highly advise you get a tiny one for yourself, and then obviously for coaching, that'll be a good.
Yes. I'm thinking about how when you say sketch, how my brain initially goes to judging it for me, because I'm not if I sit down and really concentrate, I can actually do a pretty good job drawing. But sketching for me is literally just making marks and designs, and that's okay. So why was I judging it before? That's totally fine. It's finger painting. That's okay.
Right. Pencil. That was for some reason I was always into pen. And then once I got just one pencil, and that was also, because then you can kind of judge along the way. You can be like, wait, no.
But you have the capability of erasing.
And it's small enough. So it's really just kind of backing yourself into the easiest, where you can just take those risks with, it's not a giant slab of paper that's going to, ruin the world. It's just
accessible. Yeah.
So you should try that. That would be pencils.
Don't shit on me.
I know, I'm sorry. I just said that.
See, it's part of our language.
Know,
it happens.
It is.
No, I love the idea, and I'm absolutely I'm gonna have the side of my hand's gonna be all pencil soon. You're look it.
It's a great hand. Yeah.
I took up your advice.
I will be happy when you send me an email photo of that.
I
will be happy. I'll be good. That makes me happy, because then I'll know that I helped motivate you to get back into your creativity. Because I would withdraw last year. So with my little thing last year, all I really did was illustrate. I filled up a ton of books. Because that's what I first thought. I was this would be really fun to just be an illustrator. You know, like my whole thing, God bless my wife for being supportive, but like these last 2 years I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try a bunch of random cool stuff that I like, makes me feel alive thing.
For you.
And so now I have a bunch of books that I'm getting scanned, because last year all I really did was just like film, but then, you know, it's just you and books. So now it's like, get out of it, start meeting people at like these events, and then get into the services of video, which is more of the social, because isolation, that was the problem with like, it was like, as much as I loved it, and this is the point why I said it, it's so isolating. It's like so, and that's why you realize yourself, you know, it's like, let me just go down there, and then it's like, no, I need social. Right. More than I realized. Yeah. Which I think everyone needs social more than they realize, but they just kind of
totally. And there's
themselves
time.
Into sleeping or
yes, exactly. And or forcing that one thing. Like, good for you for being like, you know what, I want to try this and experiment with it. And then you did it, you felt it, you understood it. And you're like, okay, from that, how am I going to redirect? How am I going to redirect? Like, I was terrified of networking. Terrified of it, because like I truly am an introvert. I'm totally an introvert, and I think that's why networking like makes me so tired. But it doesn't mean I don't want like connection, personal connection. I still have fun, but I also need my time to like go take a nap and snuggle my dog, and read and watch documentaries so that I can go fast later.
Right. Well, it's key, and this has been my biggest problem, and I agree with that, because we tend to push ourselves, I think, a lot without the recharge period. Yes. And I know that's one of my issues that I've had to deal with, my boundaries with this. Now, especially getting up at, because I was getting up at like, you know, 6:37, and then I was like, you know what, let me do this sunrise thing. So I just like, you know, you're always like 5:30, 5:45, and I was like, no, 4:30. You know, like, because that's just ridiculous to like get up then. Yep. So I was like, let me just do it. And then that's when, you know, now it's like 5 and 6 o'clock, and I'm just like, okay, maybe I should chill out, stop doing work, and just, because that's the problem. Once you start earlier, then it's like,
well, then you get tired earlier too.
And you don't realize, and you're pushing yourself, and that's why the recharge is so.
It's so important.
So
people, key. And what I hear a lot from my clients too when it comes to like recharging is, oh, but I feel bad about doing that, or I feel guilty, and it's like, again, guilty. Like energy attracts like energy. Like, if you don't take time to recharge and take care of yourself, like, why would anybody want to be around you? Right. Yeah, like if you're just like always exhausted, and think about how that impacts your work too. Right. Like, you need to recharge. It's okay. That is perfect. It is so okay to recharge. And I'm very excited about the work that you're doing, taking all these like pictures, because recharging is me looking at some of this footage. Good. Right? Like, there's so many different ways to recharge. It doesn't have, like, going back to our other conversation, the cameras, it doesn't have to be complicated. Right. But, like, give yourself permission to do it. And we're so freaking mean to ourselves when it comes to things like that. I agree. Let's think of last notes on that then. So what do you, any tip, like, how do you be more forgiving? Can you think of those? Ooh, be more forgiving. So there is a practice, and this is going to sound like intense, and it's not. When it comes to forgiveness, there's a style of meditation called metta meditation or loving kindness meditation. Google it, look it up. When it comes to forgiveness, this idea of loving kindness, you actually wish well, wish good health, wish success for people you don't know. For people within your community, for an acquaintance you just met, for someone very close to you. And as you go through that process, all of a sudden it becomes really peaceful to give yourself the permission and the forgiveness for how harsh you've been to yourself. And this practice, like, at first, like, you may just go through the motions, but then when you start really, like, hearing the words that you're saying, and really, even with, like, people that we don't love or could potentially be our enemies, do you ever wish anything bad on them? No.
No.
You want everybody, if everybody was living what they define as their successful life, I mean, yes, what a beautiful dynamic world. I mean, we still have a dynamic world now, but like, how cool could that be? So in the realm of forgiveness, I encourage people to this loving kindness kind of meditation of just wishing well to people you don't even know, and then bring that closer and closer and closer to you, and it gets into your core.
That's interesting.
And then you take good care of yourself.
Yeah. That's like so perfect. And that's kind of the same thing with the tiny sketchbook, where you're just like backing yourself. You're like, at this point, you're just in the corner. You're like, damn it, I've just wished everyone else in the world well. Shit, now I have to be nice to myself.
Yes.
For lack of a better.
You do. And the other lens to kind of look through is, how would you treat your best friend? How would you treat your spouse? How would you treat your child? Anybody important to you, you would treat them with so much like care and love. And like, if your wife is exhausted, wouldn't you say, oh my gosh, please sit down, rest? So like, why don't we do that for ourselves?
Right.
And once you truly start taking care of yourself, like, it radiates, and again, it gets really contagious. So being alive in what you do,
yeah.
I don't remember the quote exactly, but like, again, like, this is all linked. It's all connected. Yeah. So forgive. Mindful meditation is awesome.
I like that.
Loving kindness.
Loving kindness, yeah.
Loving kindness.
And we started with the 4 tips.
Mm-hmm. It started as 3, and I made it 4.
3, yeah.
Yes. So stop shooting on yourself.
The shooting.
Change your have to, need to want to. See how that feels. Breathe, and then noticing something new.
Which almost goes in line with the. No, I guess it's kind of in line with the forgiveness.
Oh yeah, it totally is. All that is linked. It's all linked. Yep.
Have you, so marketing style, I think there was probably something else, but I wonder if you could do, like the octagon, or like a 5-sided thing that you could have, forgiveness, the 4 tips. I feel like there was a couple other things in the middle that you could always, that can be your sort of pattern that you could sort of push.
Kind of be my.
Like.
I
can't think of the word.
Oh yeah, what is the word?
Like symbol? Not symbol, but like symbol.
We'll use symbol. Bing!
Yeah. My drums. I'll cut to me doing it.